bringing you Chronic Hoosier as well. How's it going, man?
Going great. Glad to be back. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Good to have you. Kevin Brockway along. The sun is shining. It's probably, what is this cold as Haiti? It's 21 degrees out there. So what a false front that is, but it sure looks nice.
Hey,
Indiana, go
we're
ahead.
going to see 46 today, so the frost is going to let loose.
Wow, I did not realize that. And I'm driving to Chicago. What is wrong with me, man? Craziness. Yeah, 46 for 2 days in a row. Nice. Hey, there's a 50-degree day on Friday. Hello, everybody. Looks nice there. So greatness. Basketball, Indiana up in Evanston tonight, Chronic, a game that I don't care what title you put on it, but it's a must-win game for Indiana. They can't lose to Northwestern this time of year with what's on the line, with the games that are still coming up to play, in my opinion.
No, I don't know that they are quite in have to win and win or lose and you're out type situation right now, but it certainly seems to be one from a momentum standpoint. I mean, they're obviously still they're still building a resume for the NCAA tournament, and a road win, even though it's not the stoutest Northwestern team, they're certainly capable of beating Indiana. I believe this would end up being a quad two win if they're able to pull it out, where Northwestern currently sits in the net rankings right now, are pretty darn close at least. But I do agree. It's got the sense of urgency that Indiana fans are all too familiar with, particularly this time of year. And I said it right before we went on air. This has recently been the witching season for Indiana, when all the demons come out and bad things start happening. So it'd be a great chance to arrest the losing skid, get back on the right side, and get some momentum as they head down the home stretch of the season. Because as we've discussed, it's certainly not an easy stretch here, but you don't want to start stacking up those L's this time of year, because for a team that's fairly soundly in right now, Bracket Matrix has them as the last 7th seed, but appearing in all of the bracketologist predictions right now have them in the tournament. Things can change very quickly for this Indiana team, and as I said on the podcast with Zach last week, this is an opportunity where they can break pretty hard in either direction for Indiana. They can rocket up the seed charts, or they can fall back on the bubble real easily here over the next couple of weeks. And it's imperative to stack up some W's whenever you can when they present themselves. And there's big opportunity in store for Indiana tonight in what's basically a toss-up game. Vegas still has Northwestern as a 1-point favorite. Bracketologist, or the dataologists, that's even a word. Ken Palm's got him as a 1-point dog. Torvik has him as a 1-point favorite. So should be a good game either way.
Kevin, they've got 7 games remaining. Of those 7, I believe 4 on the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you include this one, I guess. So 5 road games yet to play. That's what makes this one, and to me, Minnesota, very important, because those are teams at the bottom of the league. Losing at home to an Ohio State, you losing at home to a Michigan, or on the road to Michigan State, or on the road to Purdue, that's not going to hurt you. But they've got to beat Rutgers at home. They've got to. I think they need to go on the road, and they've got to beat Minnesota or Northwestern on the road. You cannot lose both of those games without. You've got to get a road win.
You've got 3 left at home, actually, because you've got Wisconsin, you've got Maryland, and you've got Rutgers, and you've got 4 left on the road. But I think that you'd like to go 4-3 in the stretch. I mean, 3-4, you're still, you're kind of on the bubble. But I think that you've got some winnable games. Certainly, this game tonight is a winnable game. Certainly, Maryland is a winnable game. Certainly, Minnesota is a winnable game. And certainly, Rutgers is a winnable game. And if you could steal Wisconsin, too, at home and get another signature win to go with, Purdue and Ohio State, that'd be a 3rd win against a ranked team. Then you'd be in really good shape. But, I don't think you're beating Michigan State on the road. I don't think you're beating Ohio State on the road. And I don't think you're beating Purdue on the road. That's just my opinion, unless you play your A game and they play their C or D game. So certainly I think that those are the three that you put in the L column. But the other four, I think, are winnable games. And tonight certainly is a winnable game. And I think you have to go out and you have to execute. You have to establish trace early. You've got the advantage inside, and then work from inside out. And we'll see if Miller Kopp is a guy that might be motivated going back to his home gym here at Welsh Ryan Arena, his old home gym, and get on track. We realized this. I wrote about him today. He has not scored in double figures since that monster game against Syracuse when he scored a career high 28. So, I mean, he's a guy I think you would like to see maybe get going a little down the stretch here. Trey Galloway is eating into his minutes for sure, but he and Parker Stewart, you would like to see them, get on a little flurry and hit some three balls there.
It's not just that he's not scored in double digits. He put up a goose egg for the third time in conference season just recently against Illinois in that last game. And for a starter, that's just it's unconscionable. And it made me look for two starters, Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart, respectively ranked next to last and second to last in offensive usage right now. And it's for whatever reason, the ball's not finding those guys when they are on the floor. And, I know Woodson's all about who finishes rather than who starts. But regardless, whoever's on the floor, you got to get some production from those guys. So hopefully this would be a great opportunity for Kopp to reestablish himself as a contributor tonight.
Look at Ken Palm. He's got Indiana at number 34, which is not bad, but they've dropped. They were pretty consistently in the 28 to 31 range most of the season, and they dropped a little bit, which they're not. It's not like they're in danger of. I don't think that they're a bubble team at this moment, but what worse is being a 9 seed team. If you draw that 9 seed, that's no man's land, man. You play a middle. The first game you play is a toss up, and then if you manage to get by that, your reward is playing the number 1 seed in the tournament. So that's why getting these wins are so important to stay above that 8 seed line. I mean, I think you need to be in that 7 to have a shot at moving forward in the NCAA tournament.
No, I don't disagree. And like I said earlier, there is a roadmap now where they could climb a couple of seed lines still before the end of the season without having to run the table necessarily. There's some great opponents. I would tend to agree with Kevin that East Lansing's going to be really tough. Columbus is going to be really tough. Purdue is currently the only game I use is predicted to lose by double figures. That one is going to be extraordinarily tough. But that's not to say that Indiana, with the right matchups on the right night, can't pull one of those out, or maybe a couple of them. But I think that the broader point here is, as you look at the closing schedule, for every home loss, whether it be Illinois, Ohio State, etc., you not only have to hold serve in those games where you're favored by, you got to find a way to steal a couple and keep improving your profile rather than sliding, because they still control their destiny at this point. They still could earn a really strong seed compared to where they're at right now as the last 7 currently in. But you absolutely don't want to put it in reverse. This is one of those things where Indiana's really struggled at here in years past, is closing strong. And one refreshing part of the season is we have seen a team generally arcing upward over the course of the season. It's not always been linear, but you have seen a team figuring out who they are and what their strengths are and their weaknesses, and trying to play to both. They've got to keep that going right now, because they cannot slide backwards, or else not only are they going to be drawing a really tough pull in the tournament, they may find themselves on the wrong side looking out, or from the outside looking in yet again. And they just cannot have that. Not with this team, not with this staff, not with this history behind them right now.
Yeah, making an NCAA tournament is paramount for this team. With the success that they've had this year, to turn around all the positives, which have been immense, tons of them, erasing a lot of bad memories. You have to make the NCAA tournament, in my mind, or it was just another average season. So, but the thing is, they're more than capable of doing that. As a matter of fact, there are some miscues that they've had already that had they not had them, I think that they would be sealed into the tournament right now. That loss to Syracuse and Wisconsin together, those two right there, they don't have those, they're in without question. And I think that they're above the 8 seed line with those, Kevin. They're not, but they can earn their way up. As Chronic mentioned, and both of you, they've got some quality opportunities ahead. And we know that they can play with Wisconsin. They did it on the road early in the season when they were still immature as a team. Hopefully they've learned some, but we've seen them regress in games against Michigan, games against Illinois. And tonight, Trace Jackson-Davis has to reassert himself. And I think he's got to be able to find a way to always play the right style of game and not just try to force something in like he tried to force against Kofi Coburn the other day.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Race Thompson too, who is playing terrific. But Race and Trace in that game against Kofi, I think were combined. I looked this up, 8-22, and Illinois is one of the best post defensive teams in the league because of Kofi. They're not going to face that kind of resistance tonight against Northwestern. So I think Mike still sees the bread and butter as getting the ball inside to Race, getting the ball inside to Trace, and having them score those high percentage inside buckets, and then working your way outside from there. And you'd love to see it all click. You'd love to see one night, and it was kind of that way against Penn State, particularly in the first half. It was that way against Maryland on the road, where you had the inside scoring and the outside scoring going at the same time. Maybe Minnesota earlier in the year as well, where you have everything clicking offensively. But this is a team that still goes through droughts and still struggles to score. So you need the defense to be there too. And you need to, tonight it's imperative to guard the 3-point line. Let Nance get his points inside, but don't let him get going from 3 because that's kind of part of their bread and butter. With guys like Audige and Bubui and Greer, you want to take that away, I think, in a game like tonight. And just hold them to tough contested 2s inside defensively. Keep the game for them in the 50s and the 60s because they're on Northwestern. They've won 2 in a row and they're coming off a game where they hit 13 threes. So I think that's what you got to take away first.
Absolutely, and it starts tonight. A late game on the road, Chronic. Never any fun. A 9:00 game on the road. Again, after they traveled yesterday, so that's not the early. So they've been lounging around and do whatever they need to do today, probably schoolwork and all that stuff, but still being away all day long, waiting for that game. It just can't be fun, but they've got to find a way to stay focused and get this win tonight, in essence.
No, and this is a great opportunity for them to get that taste out of their mouth from Illinois. As Kevin said, Northwestern doesn't have a dominant big, and that's really where you've seen Trace struggle, and that's really where you've seen the offense struggle. When they can't establish the post early and they have to search for alternatives, it can get funky real quick for this team. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to reestablish Trace for a road game. Historically, Welsh Ryan has been Assembly Hall North. It's basically a glorified high school gym in the North Chicago suburbs, which features the second highest concentration of IU alums, second only to Indianapolis. Chicago's always had great support for Indiana. Not a very hostile environment as far as road Big Ten environments go. And, like I said earlier, it's some really, really familiar shooting sight lines for Miller Kopp heading into this one. So hopefully if they can get the outside shot established, get Trace established inside, Race is going to get his. And let's see where the chips fall. But, this is a team that has yet to lose back-to-back games all season. And it would be it'd be a terrible time to start now, if we're being honest.
Absolutely. And the confidence that they need to get to start get winning this game on the road. Kevin mentioned earlier, this would be a 3-game winning streak, road winning streak. Kevin,
first time since 2016, yeah.
So that's again those little bitty things. Conrick, I was saying earlier, even though that's a small thing and that that includes wins over Nebraska. And it doesn't matter. They haven't done it since 2016. So those little things are all things that are falling away, shows nothing but progress in the program. I know fans want all of the progress at once. It's not going to happen that way. But this is a team that is talented enough to do the things they need to do to get into the tournament, but they have to take care of the business themselves. It's not going to be done for them because you've got a load of teams in this conference this year that are more equal. This is a much more equitable league this season than it was last season, than it generally is, because the top is closer to the middle. I mean, the first 7-8 teams are not that far apart. I mean, yeah, there's a difference between Illinois and Purdue a little bit, but not like you expect to see in that next level down. They're beatable, and that makes it a hell of a fun season.
And it keeps Indiana, win tonight keeps Indiana at least in contact with the upper echelon of the league right now. They're currently sitting tied for 6 with Rutgers at 7-5 in conference. Ohio State at 7-3 just ahead of them. And not that it really matters a whole lot, practically, but I think it matters quite a bit symbolically. Like most folks saw Indiana as the 8th, 9th team in the conference. You always want to outperform your expectations. But for a staff that's really making its introduction to the league, they definitely want to establish themselves as a contender in the league. And this is a great opportunity to hold their position for the time being and see if they can't do some climbing as the season ends. But more than anything, I think it's the momentum heading into March for a team that's really struggled with that element of it. We talk about a team that struggled to get over the hump. This is the ultimate hump. When we look at home and aways and all the micro over the course of the season. On the macro, this is a team that needs to learn how to finish strong. And, right now they're only dealing with the Rob Finney injury, which is certainly significant. But in years past, we've seen a whole lot of other things weighing them down, creating a headwind for them. It's time to create some luck and get a tailwind going into the close of the season. And road wins in the Big Ten, I don't care who you're playing, always put a little bit more wind in your sails.